To say at the outset, I have relied so much on the advice and the life's experiences of the people standing behind me as part of this organization. We've been through many challenges, and we're always trying to find the right balance in the performance of justice, because that is what we're all expected to do. And their advice, their counsel, their tweaks to laws or whole ideas for laws are really important. I want to tell them I'm grateful for that partnership. It really means a lot, because we are all here to fight for public safety. That's what our job is. But today we're going to talk about a subset, and that is the issue of recidivism. And we're continuing to see real urgent problem of revolving door of criminals who are arrested and then let out on technicalities, free to commit crimes again. There's one example. There's so many examples, but there's one example. Someone slashes a stranger on the subway, and the court had to dismiss the case because they said the prosecutors took too long because they were looking for a medical record from the victim that the victim had forgotten about. Unrelated to the circumstances, but that was the technicality that allowed that case to be thrown out and that individual to get out again. It's hard to believe. And that's a sort of unacceptable outcome that we've seen all over, and we're trying to address that. And it goes back to the discovery laws that were passed in 2019. Now, I understand why the reforms were necessary. Everyone deserves a fair, speedy trial. But those changes went too far, and legitimate cases are being dismissed on technicalities. That's why I proposed in my budget this year new language to streamline the process, keeping the just intent while allowing us to crack down on the real criminals. And I'm proud to announce that DASNY has endorsed my proposal to protect our victims and crack down on recidivism by streamlining our discovery laws. And briefly, my plan would eliminate the incentive to delay discovery challenges, so cases are no longer delayed and then dismissed on a technicality at the last moment. We also want to allow prosecutors to certify compliance with discovery laws after turning over all the evidence without having to wait for a subpoena. We'll expand the scope of automatic redaction so there's no lengthy litigation necessary to protect sensitive data, like addresses or phone numbers. All these take time while the clock is running. And we'll also reduce the 48-hour notice to 24 hours, helping areas that don't really have grand juries. Now, fixing these loopholes will at least be a step in the right direction to stopping the revolving door of people who are arrested, as I said, and released on a technicality. And it's part of an overall strategy. Put our focus on fighting crime and protecting the victims of those crimes in communities far and wide. The individuals here represent every corner of the state of New York. And I'll also say this. We did change the bail laws to crack down on repeat offenders and restore judges' discretion, making previously excluded crimes bail eligible, like hate crimes and gun offenses. We've also delivered more than $1 billion in public funding since I became governor just 3.5 years ago, investing in our district attorneys and money, whether it's the $40 million we invested to help them comply with discovery laws, whether it's the money we've given them to go after retail theft, the money we've gone after for domestic violence. I want them to know that they need to have the resources in their offices that are traditionally primarily funded by the counties. And I'm a former county official. I know how this works. But there are times when your counties do not have the resources they need, or your borough does not have the resources, and that's where we can step in as a state to give you the additional assistance to comply with state laws, but also to give you the support you need. So I'm proud of what we're doing here today. I'm proud of you have your support. And we need to take your voices and your experiences and your examples of where these cases have gone in the wrong track, almost shocking people with the outcomes. Take those messages to our state legislature. Share with them what you've encountered and talk to them about how this is a common sense reform that is overdue, and it's part of our quest to make New York State even safer because, again, public safety is our #1 priority. At this point, I want to offer the podium to our president of the association, Staten Island District Attorney Mike McMahon.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you so much, Governor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Michael McMahon. I'm privileged and honored to be the District Attorney of Staten Island and equally honored and privileged to serve this year as the President of the District Attorneys Association of the State of New York. And you see we're gathered here together in a bipartisan way from district attorneys everywhere from Suffolk County to Chautauqua County to join together and say that we are very grateful to the governor and her team and to the folks here and our team for putting together, working on a proposal that we think will restore balance to the criminal justice system, which is so important. And the governor mentioned it. The reality is that the 2020, that came effective in 2020, passed in 2019, discovery statute, which is well-intentioned, and those intentions we continue to stand by, to have a fair and transparent legal process. And due process is, listen, is one of the firmest pillars of our criminal justice system and our constitutional system in this country and state. But there have been some unintended consequences from that law, and we are here today to adjust that law to make it more fair, make it more practicable, and also to continue to ensure public safety. Because, look, New Yorkers are asking, why is there this revolving door of justice here? Why are people being arrested and being put back out on the streets, and quite often committing, recidivating and committing similar crimes, and sometimes graduating up to more violent crimes? And the reason is one word: discovery. And the changes that were made to the law, the unintended consequences of discovery, and we worked very hard to put together a proposal that addresses these unintended consequences. And let me be very clear that the free, fair, and full sharing of discovery with defense counsel, as I said, is the bedrock of American jurisprudence, and we stand by that today. We restore some elements like relevance and due diligence into the law, more realistic timeframes, as the governor mentioned. You know, there are some counties in the state that don't have grand juries every day, including Staten Island. And so the 24-hour rule to the 48-hour rule exchange for statements is also very important. In conclusion, our proposal is not a return to the bad old days or a reversal of true reform. It's a much-needed adjustment that will relieve prosecutors of onerous burdens and make certain that cases are not being dismissed wholesale, while ensuring that defense counsel has everything they need to adequately defend their clients. So we thank the governor. I thank my brothers and sisters from DASNY who work so hard to ensure public safety, to do justice, to do the right thing every day. And we look forward together, joining with your voice, Governor, joining together with the business community, joining together with those who advocate on behalf of crime victims, advocating on behalf of the men and women who represent retail workers and transit system workers and police officers and others to make sure that we restore total public safety across the state. So thank you very much. Should I? Yeah, and thank you. And now it's my privilege to introduce Mary Pat Donnelly, the DA from Rensselaer County, who is the president-elect of the State DA's Association.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, DA McMahon. It's a privilege to represent my small county in upstate New York amongst all these wonderful prosecutors from around the state. New York is very diverse. Every county is different, but the problems are the same, and the crime is the same around this state. In 2019, when the reforms were handed down, New York prosecutors understood the goal to provide early access to critical evidence to result in a fair and speedy resolution of criminal charges. What we also knew at that time and understood and warned about was that no office in New York State had the infrastructure or the funding to make it happen. Compliance was impossible. And despite our best efforts, thousands of cases are being dismissed. Over the last 5 years, each office around the state has received funding from New York State, and we are very grateful for that. And we have all undertaken the difficult process of finding a way to use that money within the confines of each of our very different counties to get us one step closer to compliance. But again, thousands of cases continue to be dismissed on the ever-dreaded legal technicality. The proposal that the governor has put forth in consultation with the DAs around the state provides a confirmation, an explanation, and a reasonable tweak to the law that will allow good faith compliance to prevail. We all remain committed to the same goals because we do not want to see justice denied to your family, to your friends, to the real victims in this case that look to all of us to bring justice and safety to each of them. While discovery reform is sometimes a complicated topic, I can assure you that it is something that is critical to the just resolution of a criminal case, and that this is not a whimsical change, it's not a step backward. In fact, it's a very big step forward to getting it right for New York State. So I am very grateful to Governor Hochul for listening, for understanding, and for reinforcing our commitment to public safety. Thank you.
Today, but while we have the district attorneys, we're going to focus on topic about discovery reform. Do you have any questions on that? Start Matt and Andrew.
Governor, will the DA's office commit, will DAs commit to forwarding material that you receive from the police department immediately upon receipt to the defense? And if not, why would you not do that?
Can I answer the question?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I have a question.
that's a fair commitment. That happens now. That's the whole discovery process. We acquire the material and we turn it over and we do it as expeditiously, as quickly as possible. And we know that anything we receive from any police department that may be relevant to the case has to go into the hands of the defense counsel. We do that automatically.
Andrew?
Maybe one of the sitting DAs can talk about this too. One of the criticisms of discovery before it was changed back in 2019 is that people would sit at Rikers for a shoplifting charge and they would have no idea when their case was going to be updated. So what safeguard is in place now to prevent a return to what you refer to as the bad old days?
Yeah.
You're a city district attorney?
I am. You know what?
You've heard this criticism of the levy of
Of course, no, of course I have, and I understand it wholeheartedly as a district attorney, as a former judge. I understand it. I think actually people are waiting longer now with the new discovery laws because there's so much that we have to get in order to be able to certify. So well-intentioned, and listen, they are getting more evidence than they've ever received before, the old law, and we stand by that. We want them to have everything, and we're doing the best we can. But because it's so voluminous and it's so much, it's taking even longer than the other before the law has changed. So we're hoping that with these revisions, that now it'll balance it out, put it in perspective on exactly how much has to be turned over, but more importantly, putting real timelines on it on both sides. So that way, that will speed it up. People are not languishing in jail longer, and victims are not waiting for their day in court as well.
Any other on-topic questions? Over here in Rebecca.
Governor, you pulled up the budget in recent years for changes to the criminal justice system. Will you draw the same line in the sand with discovery reform and try to stop repeat offenders from walking free?
Obviously, our objective is to make sure that we do not have people who are accused of crimes going back to the streets on a technicality. That's what this whole objective is. That's why we're trying to make these changes. It's to protect our citizens, make sure that people do have their day in court, which our system will always protect, and I'll protect as well, but also that our victims get justice as well. So the whole idea is to focus on streamlining the system in a way that works for all sides.
Rebecca?
Senator Zellerari and Assemblymember Michael Lasher introduced their own legislation regarding discovery to give the prosecutors direct access to police databases. Does DASNY support that, and do you see that as a potential compromise with lawmakers as opposed to what the governor has proposed?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. We are continuing to look at that proposal, but having the access to the police records doesn't solve the problems that we're talking about here today. and certainly not for counties outside of New York City that may have up to 24, 25 police departments. We still need a more reasonable approach to the obtaining of records and then the turning of them over, and that's what this law does. It gives us a balanced approach, which the governor spoke to. Discovery is not just about police records. It's about medical records. It's about other government agencies. It's about witness statements. It's about videos. And so our proposal speaks to the whole universe of discovery materials, not just the very specific one that the Myrie Lasher bill speaks to. And I can honestly say there are some members of our organization that are more supportive of that proposal than others, but that does not solve the problems that the governor's proposal does, which brings balance back to the system, ensures public safety, helps us address recidivism, and by the way, helps us get more quickly services and programs to those who recidivate because of mental health problems, because of drug addiction, because of poverty, because of lack of education. This will really get the criminal justice system humming again, so we'll have positive effects across the board.
All right, Vern?
For the Bronx and Manhattan, do you think, just talking about staffing, will this assist with burnout and retention rates of staff? I know that's been an issue, particularly in the Bronx. But then also a follow-up from Manhattan as well.
Okay, so you might
Sure. Well, I'll start by saying I want to thank the governor. The funding was mentioned earlier. I'm happy to report that in Manhattan we have historically low attrition. And I think in large part that's due to the funding from the governor that's helped with the infrastructure on discovery. Now, we still have very significant issues relating to the substance of the work, and we need this statute to be passed. But from a staffing, I think the funding has helped, and this proposal being in the governor's budget is a light at the end of the tunnel for our staff. I'm just saying that they're looking to this bill not just for the substantive issues, of course, the public safety issues, which get primacy, but also, all of our ADAs are going to work to advance public safety. So when they are working and doing work that is not advancing that goal, that has an effect on morale. So in addition to obviously the public safety goals, which is why we're all here, I do think this will help with morale. But I want to note attrition is historically low in Manhattan.
And then DA, as your office continues to investigate Ingrid Cruz-Martin, former top aide of the mayor's office,
wrong
have
topic.
any connections been made with Mayor Adams?
I'm not going to address any ongoing matters.
Do you want to address the other topic?
All
All right, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Sure does. All right, I want to thank our DAs for being here.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Off-topic questions in just a couple minutes.
We'll see you in a few